Okay, today class we will be going over government. Okay, so our learning objective is for students to be able to define the different types of government. So you will be able to explain why we need governments, what governments are used for, and then you will be able to define different types of governments, i.e. democracies, oligarchies, dictatorships, all of that. Okay, so let's look at the definition of governments. You have two different definitions. One states that a government is the political direction and control exercised over the actions of members, citizens, or inhabitants of communities, societies, and states. Direction of affairs of a state, community, or a political administration. That's one definition. I would like to go more into detail with the second definition because it's simpler. A government is direct control, management, and or rule of citizens' conduct. So government is an organization that provides direct management and control over our citizens. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, within our learning objective, we stated that we were going to discuss why civilizations need governments. Here are a few of the reasons why civilizations need governments. Number one, to maintain order. Number two, to manage resources. Number three, to provide protection against outside forces and threats. Number four, to control the working class or slave class. Number five, to manage innovations. Number six, to create infrastructure. Number seven, to trade with other countries or civilizations. Let's go back to infrastructure. For those of you who may not know, infrastructure is things like streets, churches, any organizations, things like stoplights, schools. These are all of the things that are used to ensure that a civilization operates and functions successfully. So that's infrastructure. One of the first types of governments that we're going to be going over is a monarchy. And a monarchy is a government that's ruled by a king or a queen. The monarchy normally has absolute power to govern or rule over citizens as he or she sees fit. This is called absolute power. Sometimes you do have constitutional monarchs where there are two different groups. You have a king or a queen, and they are responsible to adhere by and is regulated by a constitution. But that is a newer form of government. But we're talking about absolute power here. Now, how is the title of the monarchy passed on from generation to generation? And the third bullet states that the ruling position is passed on to the ruler's heirs or family members. So basically, once a king or a queen dies, his or her rule is passed to the next family member. Most monarchs are believed to descend from a divine bloodline that is linked to a god or gods. So therefore, the authority of the monarchy is oftentimes linked to whatever religion is dominant in that society. The next one we have here is autocracy. An autocracy is a government ruled by a single person having unlimited power, deposition, which is power or domination over citizens through the threat of punishment and or violence. And that concept is despotism. Now, autocracy is just pretty much having a strong ruler that controls all aspects of society. They don't answer to anyone else. They directly make the rules. So this form of government is very centralized. It's easy to get things done. The drawback to it is that if you are a citizen and not in the ruling class or not close to the ruler, you have no rights, and the ruler can force you to do what he or she wants you to do. Also, in this form of government, we have another very centralized form of government. You have a dictatorship. In a in a dictatorship, a country is ruled by a single leader. The leader has not been elected and may use force to maintain. In a dictatorship, the military is often used to maintain control and authority over the citizens. Citizens have little to no control over the laws passed. Normally, a dictator comes into power through what is called a coup d'etat, or a forcible removal of an existing government through violent means. And so, a dictatorship, one thing that is said that I may disagree with is that a dictator is not elected. A dictator can be elected, but the dictator uses the military to seize power. And a dictator has the power or the authority to overthrow the constitution that is in place. We've seen that done in history before through, i.e., Adolf Hitler, but we'll go more into those type of concepts later. All right, the next form of government that we have is an oligarchy. And an oligarchy is a small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. The people in power may be distinguished by nobility, wealth, education, religious, ethnic, political, or military control. So, what an oligarchy is normally you have a small group of wealthy individuals that have most of the money and resources, and they use the money and resources to control the government. And they use the government as a means of benefit to themselves and their families. They normally hold on to their rule and their money, and so basically everything is directed towards them and their existence. That comes with money and power. So if you study American history, many people kind of looked at the Gilded Age as a time when our government was ruled through an oligarchy. You had a small percentage of individuals like Andrew Carnegie and Rockefeller that used their money and power to control the American government. All right, so now we're going into theocracy. A theocracy is a form of government in which priests or religious leaders rule in the name of God. The laws are directly connected to the philosophy within whatever religious book that they have. The governments are often connected to monarchies or dictatorships. People tend to be compliant because the government is connected to the people's religious beliefs or religious views. Excuse me. And that's a theocracy. Theocracies are very strong because, yeah, man, it's connected to religion. Kind of ending this up, we're going to go into the democratic forms of government. You have a democracy. A democracy is a form of government in which people exercise the authority of government through the power of voting. A democracy rests upon the principle of majority rules and that citizens of the state have individual rights. In order for it to be a democracy, there has to be fair, frequent, and well-managed elections. Once again, in order for it to be a democracy, it has to be fair, frequent, and well-managed elections, because elections are essential in democracies. A democracy is a government that's run by people. This concept is always linked to majority rules. People vote on the laws that they want passed, and they determine how they want the government to be and how, they want to be ruled. Our last concepts is a republic. It is a democratic form of government, and a republic is a government in which the state in which the supreme power rests in a body of citizens entitled to vote, and it's exercised by representatives chosen directly or indirectly by them. In a republic, the head of the government is not a monarch or a king or queen or any other form of hereditary head of state. So in a republic is democratic. it's essential that you have elections. The people have the say in the government, and the people they vote for individuals to represent them. So, in theory, the United States is a republic. We vote for senators, we elect governors, mayors. These are all people who represent our form of government and therefore represents what we want to be done with our government. Finally, we have anarchy, which it should be our last form of government. Anarchy is the absence of government and absolute freedom of the individual regarded as a political ideal. Some people define anarchy as the state of disorder due to the absent or non-recognition of authority. So, what ends up happening with anarchy? People believe that one day humanity is going to evolve to a point to where we no longer need rules or laws given to us from a government body. And therefore, we as human beings have evolved so greatly that we can govern ourselves without any form of government. And therefore, you have those people that are called anarchists. They don't believe in government. They don't believe in organized laws and rules governing them. So this is my presentation and my PowerPoint. I have a question. I have a question for you guys, and I have a writing assignment, and I want you guys to answer this. If you were in a position to start a new civilization on an isolated island somewhere on Earth, what form of government would you use? In the answer, explain why you would use this form of government. Also, think about this. You are responsible for these people. You have to control them. You have to protect them. So you may want to go back to the second slide where I just kind of explained some of the things that governments provides to citizens, and look at that. Once you formulate your answer, email it to me at awhitby@judsonISD.org, and that's right here. Email it to that email address, and you will receive your grade. All right, you guys, have a good day.